Before the fire, Altadena was a real-life Wakanda. A thriving black oasis just 15 miles from downtown Los Angeles. 80% black residents were homeowners, building intergenerational wealth against the odds. It was a hub of black-owned businesses, churches, and cultural institutions. It stood as a symbol of black resilience and economic independence. Then, in a matter of hours, it was gone. The fire tore through homes, swallowed businesses, and left behind a painful void. But was it just an unstoppable act of nature, or was negligence involved? Did officials ignore early warning signs? Were the response efforts delayed or insufficient? What role, if any, did corporate or government failures play? Survivors are demanding answers. Don't miss our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall. The Eaton Altadena Fire, 100 days and counting. On Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center, 1081 North Fair Oaks in Pasadena. Join Dominique DiPrima, Nee Cordelai Corte, James Farr, Tavis Smiley, and a panel of survivors, community leaders, and experts as we commemorate Day 100 since the wildfires flared up. And we discuss where we go from here. It's KBLA's Eaton Altadena Fire, 100 days and counting Town Hall. Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center in Pasadena. Light refreshments to follow. Admission is free, but sign-up is required at our KBLA1580.com website. The first 100 attendees will receive a complimentary air purifier. This is a community call to action, brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
First things first.
First things first is the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tavis Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of black talk radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning, and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First, and my very first thing today and every single day, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go. We do have a lot going on around here as usual. It's a Talking Point Tuesday, so that means you and I have the assignment to debunk and undermine all the talking points that are going around that do not serve us, the things we say unconsciously or consciously that we haven't really analyzed. We'll do that. Of course, hour one, we look local. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest. Man, you know we are in retro shade. I thought we were going to have Jareem, person Lynn, today. That's next Tuesday for tax day. Today, we're going to be talking with Ann Beneventi, who can tell us how to keep our families safe as the FDA is being dismantled and what to look for, what to avoid. What to anticipate. And of course, hour two, the phone lines are wide open and you are invited in 800-920-1580. Well, they're wide open all day, but just extra freestyle phones in the second hour. Right now, though, it's time to do a bit of an update on what's going on in the Altadena, Pasadena area. You may have heard we're doing a town hall meeting there on the 16th, which is next week. We'll be broadcasting from Altadena. Myself, Dr. Nicolai Corte, James Farr, Tavis Smiley will be there as well. And you are invited to come. I hope to see you there. But right now, it's really about what's going on and how we can support the people on the ground who are doing the work to help families, help everyday folks, get as close to right as we can get. And so we have joining us right now the president and co-founder of Neighborhood Survants, Michelle White. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing, first of all?
I'm blessed for sure. Happy to be awake and alive this morning.
Yeah. When you put it that way. So you guys, for those who are not familiar, Neighborhood Survants is a community-based organization there in the neighborhood, in the Altadena, Pasadena neighborhood. And you guys were not formed for the fires. You were already doing your community service, but you really sprung into action when the Eaton Canyon fire hit.
Yeah, it wasn't new to us because of COVID, but we've been doing this for years, and then when this happened, we just opened the doors and went to doing what we know how to do, is supporting our community. So, and we're still running strong.
Yeah, I mean, your website says your mission is to empower tomorrow's difference makers, which sounds like, okay, mentoring and, inspiring and crisis relief mentorship programs, youth and family services. But crisis relief is really probably where you've been spending, I would imagine, 90% of your time for the past couple months.
Yeah, it's definitely every day we're doing the same. We're kind of changing as the wind moves, we move with them. So as our first couple of weeks, as we were giving out lots of toilet paper and toothpaste and all those kind of things, now we have shifted to bigger and kind of different resources. Housing is obviously like the biggest issue right now. But as the days change and distribution change, we get, like a prime example, yesterday we received 225 mattresses, and we got those out to families within 5 hours. And those are to victims of the fire. Their houses finally are getting cleaned. And so now we're trying to bring in brand new clean resources to those homes.
So those are people whose houses are still standing, but they don't really have much because things were destroyed by smoke or toxins in the air or whatever it might be.
Yes, and moving into new locations, maybe with a relative that they didn't plan on having extra bodies in the house. So we're providing, some of them are coming off of air mattresses for the last 90 days. And so this is their first actual mattress that they're laying on. Senior housing that they got to move back in, their apartments didn't get cleaned when they moved back in. So we're working with a nonprofit to get those senior housing cleaned, and then we're replacing those houses with new mattresses, and then we'll get them new bedding, towels, sheets, and all those kind of things to go along with it. We just want the house to be cleaned before we start putting a bunch of brand new stuff into housing that hasn't been cleaned.
So again, when you talk about senior housing, you're talking about housing that did not burn in the fire, but I can't even imagine.
On the burn scare, like right next to, across the street from them, everything is burned down.
But they'll move back into those places?
Yes, they have moved up, and we're not clean when they move back in.
So they moved in before they were cleaned. Probably had nowhere else to go.
Nowhere else to go.
Wow.
Yep. And we just dropped off, we have a apartment complex that didn't have running hot water, gas, or electricity till last Friday. And those residents have been living there since January.
Wow, that's really hardship right there.
Yeah, it was
Um,
really, really difficult to see
yeah, I can't even imagine
all
how
the
you
little
do it.
kids. Yeah, all the little kids, in the apartment complex, and they just are just, they don't really understand the totality of what's really going on. They're just back in their own homes, and they can go outside and play. They think in, fresh air, which is not fresh. And so, taking them water, food, when they didn't have any power, we were trying to supply them with things like if you were to be camping. And then as soon as the power came back on, now we're working on getting those places cleaned. And then, again, new mattresses and all that. So yesterday we took food and cases of water, especially this week we'll be filling their location up with lots of water because they don't have any refrigerators right now either because all the refrigerators had to be thrown away because of mold.
Oh, of course. I didn't even think of that. It's terrible. But here's the thing. We're
Yeah.
going to have a heat wave this week. It's
Oh, I
supposed to
know.
be starting today. So
I know.
no
We're working
refrigerator,
on
no,
no refrigerator. Yep.
and
They're
heat
asking
wave.
for the ice chest. Yep, ice. They asking for ice for the
Wow.
ice chest. It's literally like if they're camping, but they actually live inside of a complex per se.
Camping on a toxic
So
waste site. I mean, pretty
it's
much.
yeah, yep. That's exactly best way to describe it.
So, and these are mostly renters that we're talking about right now?
Yes, yep. Renters for sure.
Because I feel like that's one of
Yep.
the things we haven't talked about. I think I'll speak for myself, so enamored of the fact that 80% of Altadena's or 81% of Altadena's black residents own their own home. Wow, that's amazing. It's the highest rate in the whole country. That I think we forgot about renters. And
Yep.
what you're describing makes sense. If you're a renter, you're not getting an insurance payout. You may or may not have anywhere else to go. And so folks just move back into their smoky, toxic homes. Now, who's doing that cleaning? If you're a homeowner and your home burned to the ground, the county will clean your lot after the Army Corps of Engineers gets off the explosives and highly dangerous toxins. The less dangerous toxins will be cleaned by the county. But what do you have as a resource for cleaning if you're a renter?
Yourself. Most of it
Wow.
really is. There's a couple local nonprofits that are doing the work. Our job center is doing an amazing job. It just obviously the list goes on day and day, and they're just getting more requests, and they're doing the best they can to try to get to those places as soon as possible. The place where we dropped off the mattresses, the job center in Pasadena, is cleaning that location. And we're actually trying to get the job center more PPE to be able to go and do these jobs because they're going up with nothing. Whatever they have, a little mask, some gloves, and some cleaning supplies. But they want to get the residents back into their home, at least the apartments, to be clean. So they're doing the best they can with what they're working with. So we've been big ask on PPE for them so that they can keep working. They have the manpower to get those places clean as fast as possible. They just need to. We're trying to just make sure we send people in safely to clean those places
I was just about to say, Michelle White, that doesn't sound safe. You got a little bandage over your mouth and you're going up to do what the Army Corps of Engineers did with like hazmat suits on. I know that probably the apartments don't have maybe they do. I don't know. Do they have the, scary Tesla batteries and things that need to be taken out of there?
Removed.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, because they did have a carport, and there was some propane, so they did get it cleaned, and that was part of the delay to get them back in, even into opening the doors for the ones that could be able to go back to where they had no other choice because they were living, down at the Civic Center. And then when, that was kind of got displaced and figure out where you could go back to, they just went back to what was open for them. And they're renters, and, they're not asking them to pay rent right now, so it's kind of the best of both worlds. And it's amazing. They're in really good spirits. They're the nicest people. They don't ask for much. Every time I'm up there, do you guys need anything? No, we're good, just some water. And I'm like, you've got to need more than just water. So we just keep feeding into what we believe they need. This stuff isn't getting thrown away, all our donations that we take up there. So, but yeah, the cleaning part is scary. We don't want what happened in 9/11 to happen with, the cancer. from those cleanup efforts. And, we didn't know anything about M95s when the 9/11 happened.
Right.
And so now we have these N95s, and now they've moved to M100s now, which is interesting. I was like, what do we go to now? So, yeah, I guess it's like this even better mask that has like a ventilator in the front. So they're not cheap. So getting those, for those workers to get up there and stay safe is very important to us.
Yeah, super important. Well, yeah, we're going to continue this conversation. I got a million more questions for you. And also, of course, I'm sure people want to know how they can help make donations. We'll get to all of that when we come forward. We're doing Altadena, Pasadena update with Neighborhood Survants. It's servants with a U, SURVANTS, in case you're looking for the organization. It's neighborhoodsurvants.com. Continuing this convo when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
It's me, Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash. I see those dry elbows, baby. But don't worry, get moisturized right in the shower. So hydrated you can skip the lotion after.
Don't wanna see it dry no more. Skin so moisturized with body wash.
Look at you now, no more dry skin. Your skin gets the moisture it craves with
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like the style, dog.
Hey, this is Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and for over 20 years, Parkside Economic Development Corporation has served Leimert Park and surrounding communities, empowering tomorrow's leaders and changing lives. Parkside EDC has awarded over $400,000 in college scholarships while sharing economic principles of the Big Five of money with students and their families. Parkside EDC partners with organizations like the Brotherhood Crusade to assure our youth have the financial acumen to succeed. Parkside EDC provides families and businesses with financial insights, offering free online, on-site, and on-air B-Warp presentations. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Programs helps our community acquire, sustain, and pass down legacy wealth. High school seniors can apply for this year's scholarship awards at parksideedc.org. Scholarships will be awarded at Parkside EDC's Gospel/Jazz Brunch on Sunday, April the 27th. For details, tickets, or donations, please visit parksideedc.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, we're talking with Michelle White, whose Neighborhood Survants is her organization, and they've been really just working hard to help get folks in Altadena back on track since the Eaton Canyon fire almost, like 90 days ago, as you referenced. Michelle, you were talking about how renters, you've been helping in the job center and others helping to get those apartments clean, to get people new, clean stuff that's not smoky and full of toxins for their apartments. Do the landlords, the buildings themselves, have an obligation to get those apartments habitable? Someone in the chat asked that question, and I think it was Jerry Anderson. And it seems like it would be kind of part of their obligation.
Yeah, I did hear, and don't quote me on this one, but I did hear that the landlords, they have to submit something just like, like to FEMA and all those kind of things. So they have to wait for whatever that process is. And obviously we kind of know that's probably not a fast process. So getting them all those apartments cleaned before they were able to come back in, probably, obviously within the timing. We were up there yesterday. It looks like they are cleaning around the area. We saw new windows. We saw some other stuff that was kind of going on. So it looks like they're moving, but probably not in our speed. We would like for that to happen, before any of them move back in. Because, obviously we're in April and this happened in January. So, but I do think that there is some obligation. I just don't know legally what that is and the timing in which, they're responsible for getting that stuff set back up.
Right, but for it sounds like from the nonprofit standpoint, the thing is just to get folks housed as quickly as possible, and not wait for any regulations, rules, or permissions. What are the donations still rolling in, Michelle?
Oh, they've slowed down. All the cameras are gone, and all our food trucks, we're probably at our last week for food trucks. So we're, now we're starting to shift. We have another shift in the need, right? So food insecurity is going to be a high issue coming forward because we don't have those supplies as much. We're still running our distribution every Saturday out of the Pasadena church. So we're trying to continually be that supply for our community. There's not a lot of distribution hubs that are open now like they were before, not as many pop-ups anymore. So, now we have to make that shift in what are we going to do now to keep helping our families to survive through this disaster.
Yeah, it sounds like we're really coming into the very hard part right now in some senses. And this is what I've been worried about, to your point, Michelle, is that once the cameras went away and we moved on in the news cycle, because there's so many things happening, like major shifts in the world and in Washington, that people would lose sight of Altadena, and the momentum would slow, and it sounds like that is starting to happen. What do you guys need? What, for people that are determined to keep their eyes on Altadena, determined to be part of that solution, what is it that you guys need? You said you're still doing the Saturday hubs and giveaways. What is the stuff that we could help with?
I think helping tackle what's gonna come is this food insecurity. So we're trying to work with a couple groups that are pantry driven. So we're trying to open as many pantries that we can allow our families to eat weekly. So that is a big need for us to find places where we can open up food distribution, because everybody's taxed. And then some of our, businesses, they're trying to reopen and go back into business. So trying to keep asking them to feed our families for free. We have to sometimes make the shift and say, hey, we do want you guys to go back in business, so we want to support your business as well. So more resources, obviously funding is going to be, we're just going to continually cry out that we need more funding so that we can make this happen. Obviously if I found 3 locations, to open up a pantry, then it comes with, volunteers and supplies needed and making sure that the community can get what they need. So we just support and in both ways, physically and financially.
Physical, financial support. And what about, what I've heard from so many people is that a lot of the residents of Altadena now are not even living in Altadena. They're living in Lancaster, South LA, and points beyond, because that's where their family is, or where they had the opportunity to, rent a new place or move into some kind of situation. How do you account for that in, getting those resources to people?
Yeah, I think our social media outreach is very important. We are supplying our we're getting emails all the time. We just got some new families that are all the way in San Bernardino, and since I kind of live in the IE, we're trying to ask some of my partners that live out and work in the Inland Empire to open some of their doors and be resources hubs to them. We heard that there's we do have a family that's in San Diego.
Wow.
And that's very, very far. So trying to even make sure that they get the resources and filling out their FEMA paperwork. And when everybody says, oh, just come back in and fill out your paperwork, it's like she's got to come all the way from San Diego to make sure if she needed to talk to somebody or be in person again. That's a very far drive to make. We still have over 1,700 people in hotels, and
wow,
we're still locating lots of families. I think we have, the last number I heard was 250 that were accounted for that were living in cars. We just located a couple of families last week, and we got them in housing, and we're working actually on one today to get them in some housing that have been living in their car that we were unaware of. And so how do we outreach to people that maybe don't have social media? How do we outreach to people that are living in their cars and just driving from hub to hub to survive? We have to find those people. And so it's really, we need more people to tell us where people are so we can get them resources.
Yeah, so folks in that position just left with just their car and didn't, I assume, just didn't know what to do.
Yeah. Yep. Didn't know what to do. And then when you were a renter, or maybe you rented a room, and that wasn't your house. So now what resources do you have to be able to get something else? So then you try to move into another apartment. You don't have like rental history. You don't have 3 times the rent. So you need a resource to help you be able to bypass some of those things. But then if you're not employed, then there's another hurdle. So you might have lost your job in this, and then there's that third hurdle. So how do we put you into housing somewhere? So even us putting them into a hotel, they can't stay there forever. Yes, we would like to get them out of their cars, but if they can't ever pay, to get back on their feet, staying in a hotel for a couple of weeks, it's a short-term fix. We just have to make sure that we're creating long-term fixes for those people that don't fit in the bucket. It's like you own a home bucket, and then you were a renter, and you might get some resources from that. But then what about the ones in the gray area is really what we're trying to focus on. Yeah, living in their car, no employment, we need resources for them.
Yeah, it's a really great point. News, traffic, and sports is what we're right up against here, Michelle White of Neighborhood Servants. Want to, talk more about that. How do you find folks? How do we get the word out to them? And once you find them, what can we do? Also, I had heard a lot of rumors around the temporary living quarters, the shelters that had been set up, and the way they were dismantled and where people went. I want to see if you can clear some of that up as well. We're talking Altadena, Pasadena. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. The Trump administration canceled millions in international grants administered by a Department of Labor division aimed at combating child and slave labor, leading to program closures and concerns about a resurgence of child labor globally. Senator Cory Booker is standing in solidarity with Americans opposing the Trump administration, criticizing Trump's actions and economic uncertainty during its first 100 days. Booker highlighted these issues, speaking on his recent Marathon Senate speech on ABC's This Week. The South Carolina Supreme Court rejected an appeal to halt Michael Mahdi's firing squad execution scheduled for Friday. Mahdi killed an off-duty police officer in 2004. And Cassie Ventura Fine will testify against Diddy under her own name in his upcoming trial on May 5th. Diddy faces charges of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation for prostitution. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the time?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers have lost 3 of their last 4 games after losing to the Washington Nationals 6-4 Monday night. Monday morning, when the Dodgers visited the White House to be honored by President Trump for winning the World Series last season, all the players and staff wore a suit and tie. Somebody should have made the suggestion that everybody in the Dodgers group wear a number 42 Jackie Robinson jersey to the ceremony. That would have been a huge statement and a message to Trump that the Dodgers organization firmly stands behind Major League Baseball's first black player. Under orders from Trump, the U.S. Defense Department 2 weeks ago removed a story from its website about Robinson's military service before he signed with the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947. Enormous criticism of the move forced the Defense Department to put Robinson's story back on their website. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place. For changes big and small. Loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Can your pad absorb everything and stay fresh? Always Radiant with Flex Foam can. Get up to 0 leaks, 0 odor, and 0 feel. Because Flex Foam is the only pad with a flexible foam core. You heard me, foam. Always Radiant is so thin, it feels like nothing, yet protects like nothing else. Can your pad do that? For up to 100% leak-free protection, try Always Radiant to see what Flex Foam can do for you.
Hi, I'm Dominique DiPrima, and it's almost time to celebrate KBLA's 4th anniversary, coming up Juneteenth 2025. We'll be marking the achievement with 4 key community events, including a special symposium, luncheon, and brain trust hosted by me entitled The State of Black Women in Los Angeles. Keep it locked here for details on how to join us for this groundbreaking symposium examining the unique challenges, triumphs, and contributions of Black women in Los Angeles in the areas of education, healthcare, community leadership, cultural and political contributions. This public convocation will provide a critical forum to address the specific social, economic, and political realities facing Black women in LA today. We'll go live with a radio broadcast and YouTube live stream, a public discussion, and a private dialogue with some of LA's most impactful women. It's an affirmation of Black women standing at the intersection of race and gender in times of adversity while demonstrating remarkable resilience and leadership. We will listen and we will speak out and be heard, all in service of finding opportunities and solutions. Please plan to join us in celebrating our 4th anniversary by amplifying the voices of Black women. For more on our symposium and 4 events celebrating 4 years on the air, simply stay tuned or keep an eye on KBLA1580.com and help make this Juneteenth more jubilant with all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And I do appreciate you. 800-920-1580. That's the number if you want to get into the conversation directly. We're talking with Michelle White, the director of Neighborhood Survants. It's a community-based organization there in the Altadena, Pasadena area. You can find them at neighborhoodsurvants.com, but you have to spell servants Survants. Some of the situations that you're describing, Michelle, folks living in their cars, moving back into apartments that are still covered with soot and toxic ash and other things. We're just not hearing a lot about that. And then people flung far and wide that we're trying to find through social media or word of mouth. How can people help? I mean, other than sort of spreading the word, if we know a person who's living in their car, or, we know people that are still struggling, how can we help those folks?
I think because we were such a small community, but a large community, I think everybody knows somebody. And so I think it's just getting the word out to anybody that they haven't heard from for a long time, or, someone's mom that used to live, just kind of start inquiring where those people are so that we can reach out to them. There's a ton of organizations that are doing great work in the city. And so if we're not hearing about them, maybe somebody else is, but we won't know that. So it's really just getting us staying on the same page and making sure that we're supplying the information. The people that are staying in hotels, we're trying to start this new kind of put resources in a box truck and kind of hit hotel. And as we do that, now we're starting to find out, like, well, my mom's not here, but she's, over at somebody else's house, but she's only going to be there temporary. So it's just, you have to get out there literally and get boots on the ground to find the people. Because if we just say, well, somebody will find them, or no one, they're living in a hotel, somebody knows that they're there, then they'll slip through the cracks. And then, like, again, those hotel rooms are not going to last forever.
Is the county really providing support? I mean, we've had a lot of back and forth, and I know you're a nonprofit, so you don't get too political, but is the county really providing support beyond the homeowners? I've heard, resources for business owners and for homeowners, not so much for renters.
Not so much for renters, yeah. It looks like, from what we're hearing, most of our renters were just, kind of one of those, you rented, it's no longer here, find a new place. And where to find a new place is, at this point, nothing close to Pasadena, Altadena, which is a little bit more hard, especially for our seniors. The seniors that have grown up in the city, raised their kids in the city, and then you try to tell them that they need to go out to San Bernardino or to Orange County. Their doctors are close to Pasadena. We have seniors that are going to City of Hope. They can't go far. So trying to keep them close, and so that's why some of them are still staying in these hotels, because that's the only thing they can do to stay close. And then you don't have transportation, or a lot of seniors don't even have family. So if resources aren't available and they have no one to check on them or no one to get them to doctor's appointments or anything, if we were to move them out of the city of Pasadena or Altadena, it would be very, very hard for them to get to the things they need.
So is there some kind of census or tracking that's happening by the county? I mean, you're talking about knocking on doors and they're telling you granny's over here and uncle's over there. That seems very haphazard.
No, there's not. We reached out to, the apartment building that had the seniors in it. We reached out to their city council person that was in their district, and they told us they had no clue that this building hadn't been cleaned and the seniors moved back in, and we were shocked. Like,
that has to be Pasadena, right? Because Altadena doesn't even have a.
Well, they have a town council.
Oh, the town council, right?
They
so
have
they
council, and they have like a grid that. So we reached out to her.
But really, that's.
Later,
I mean, and this is my opinion, not yours. But really, that's Catherine Barger. That's her district. I mean,
yes.
That's her job, because that council is advisory. They don't have money or voting power. So that means the wildly resourced LA County needs to, be stepping into the gap there.
Yeah, and people, and I'm not saying that she needs to come talk to me, but we haven't had any political interest coming to us to ask how they could help. What resources do we need? What information do we have that maybe they don't? And so instead of us pounding on her door and, call after call, we've just been waiting for her to come back in our city. But at the same time, if you tell me that there's seniors, 70 of them living in an apartment that never got cleaned and they moved back January 22nd, that's an issue.
Yeah.
And we have been up there. We took all new air purifiers. They're the ones that are getting their apartments cleaned. I think there's 17 have been done. And it's just a long process. They're moving the seniors out temporarily for a day. The nonprofit will move them for a day, and then go in there and clean their apartments and move them back in. So it's, they got to be strategic how they move a couple each day, get their houses, cleaned, and then put the stuff back. And so it's time sensitive, but it's at the same time, it's the best that they can do. But when we reached out to her, she said she didn't even know that the apartment building had any issue at all.
Wow.
So we were shocked.
Yeah, that is shocking. You would think the county would have boots on the ground, counting, heads, seniors, and kids, and everybody, really. Yeah. I mean, who's displaced, who went where, who needs what, who's in danger. To me, if you're an older American living in toxic ash, that seems very dangerous. I mean, for for an elder, they're going to be more vulnerable to that ash in their lungs and whatever those toxic chemicals are that are present in that air.
Yeah, and then they don't know really who to go to at this point, because this has been so traumatic to them. So they don't know who to talk to, who they should believe. And so they're depending upon these grassroots organizations or the church that they've been to or familiar with. And so trying to even get them into those, like at least get to the church and let a pastor show you the resources. They can answer questions like Pasadena Church. Kerwin opened his doors and said, if any insurance company wants to talk to anybody, they can do it in my church. And so I'll sit with them and listen so they're not getting taken advantage of. The resources, like, again, there's a couple local churches that are open Monday through Friday. They have resources there, someone to help them with fill out paperwork. There's free hot meals. They're letting them wash their clothes. So there's resources. It's just making sure that we're not forgetting that senior that's sitting in a home, no family, and doesn't know where to go.
You're talking about Pastor Kerwin Manning of the Pasadena Church.
Pasadena.
Yes, and so obviously folks can reach out to you. I know Neighborhood Servants on Instagram. And you mentioned several churches that folks could go to. We know of the Pasadena Church. Do you want to shout at any of those locations?
So First Day of Me in Pasadena, they have Monday through Friday. They have a hot meal from 1 to 3. They also have a store set up so you can shop every single day. You can charge your phone if you're in your car. You can go over there. You can charge your phone, your computer. They have a tech person on Tuesdays just in case you're having a little issue with your phone. They have a free wash service on Wednesday and Sunday. You just take your clothes, drop them off, go inside and eat, and do a little shopping, and they'll bring it to you when you get done. So that's amazing.
That is.
Morning Star Baptist Church in Pasadena, they have a luncheon every Wednesday. I think it's from 11 to 1. Those are the ones that I'm kind of familiar with that we're feeding into with resources. So as I get resources, I try to make sure that a couple of the hubs stay full so that we can make sure that we spread the wealth across Pasadena. But yeah, it just, we're trying to make sure our seniors get there. So there's a couple new transportation. There's it's called Butterfly Transportation that's helping seniors get to some of the events in the city. And resource hubs and those kind of things. So those are all good resources to have. We definitely need more senior volunteers, people that want to work with seniors, willing to, just kind of be with them. Even if I get them to a church to eat and they're alone, they don't feel comfortable. So we just want to make sure that we're surrounding them with love and prayer and, so they can have those conversations when they don't have anybody else to talk to.
What happens to the folks that are in hotels when those vouchers do run out?
Those will be our homeless population that will continually grow. Because that's the sad part is we don't have anywhere else for them to go. They don't qualify for housing. There's not enough housing. That's just the start. And then when you start to go down the road of filling out an application, how much can you afford, fixed income, and then living in Southern California, where are you going to find somewhere you can live for $800 a month?
Yeah. Tall order.
And that's the hardest part. Yep.
Someone DMing me talking about they wanted us to repeat the churches. So if I understand, it's First AME. They have hot meals from 1 to 3 Monday through Friday. They have phone charging and Tech Tuesday. plus free wash on Wednesday and Sunday. Morning Star Church doing lunch 11 to 1 on Wednesdays. And then you mentioned Butterfly Transportation. Now, when you say they need volunteers for seniors, would that be through Neighborhood Servants? Would it go through the church? If people want to volunteer just to keep folks company and keep them encouraged, where would they go?
They can reach out to us, and I have 2 on my team that they specialize in seniors, and so I could just add them to the team. We always have little things that they can do with their seniors, and we have a line dancing dinner this Thursday. So we've been trying to do every month one little outing for them.
Nice.
So we're line dancing. We're going to be boots on the ground with our little fans.
The real Thursday. Boots on. Oh, no, not the fans. Michelle White is our guest. I love it. Yeah, I'm sure they are too. Neighborhood Servants is the organization. We're talking Altadena, Pasadena, recovery from the Eaton Canyon Fire. Recovery not at all done, and hopefully we are not stepping back from being part of the solution. We'll talk more about what those solutions look like when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Find a righteous rage And don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
And we're talking with Michelle White. If I haven't said it, and Neighborhood Survants is our organization, if I haven't said it, really just incredible props to you and your organization for the work. I've seen it with my own eyes. You guys are really making stuff happen. And I encourage, anyone that's not really sure how to help to tap in with Neighborhood Survants. You can find them neighborhoodsurvants.com. You can also find them on Instagram. I see NBC4 reporting that Supervisor Barger and Council Member Tracy Park toured Altadena yesterday. And they say that no building permits have been issued, and that's totally unacceptable. Barger calls it a wake-up call, which is interesting to me. Why did it take 90 days to have a wake-up call? She says, to me, it's a total wake-up call to the bureaucracy that we are part of the problem, not part of the solution. Wow. So you needed till Monday to figure that out? I'm just saying.
And I know the business owner's been screaming. It's not like they've been sitting still saying, oh, we'll just wait till she comes and we'll wait patiently. They've been screaming, trying to get their businesses back open.
Right, because they're saying not one single permit has been issued for a homeowner to rebuild, and that they have to go through 3 different departments, and it's taking months. So hopefully they'll do another tour soon where they actually go to some of the churches and nonprofits like yours and talk to some of the renters, not just the homeowners. Talk to the folks that, as you say, could end up being the new homeless. If do we know when those vouchers and stuff start to run out?
No, and some of the nonprofits that we're working with, they're just extending them week to week.
So we don't. Yeah. Wow, that's precarious.
Yeah, because then that money runs out faster. If you're trying to pay $1,900 a week or $1,200 a week for a family to stay in a hotel for a week, then you times that by, even if however the $1,700 is being paid, we're understanding that some of those people that are staying in hotels, they're paying it themselves.
Yeah.
Because that's the only place they have to go, right? But then some of the local nonprofits that are trying to help in the housing space are just extending week to week. They just call, check on them, and then say, are you still there? Say in the same situation, and then they just are trying to extend. But those funds are going to run out. So then what do we do?
Yeah. What happened with people leaving the convention center and those shelters? As far as you know, were people actually accounted for? Were they? I mean, I'm hearing you talk about folks not being counted. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. They went over to the DeWardy location, and the American Red Cross set them up over there. A lot of the people, there was a good amount of people that were unhoused before the fire that were in the Civic Center. And then we just had to get through a couple of those. They were already unhoused, so let's get our homeless outreach supportive groups to work with the ones that they're familiar with. Some people came from out of town when we opened up our doors. They came from very far away to be able to be in our space. And so then they just had to get through the red tape of figuring out really, where were you before this happened? Are you connected to Altadena, Pasadena area? And then, okay, let's shuffle through. We can't say that we can't help you, but you probably need to be over in this other bucket. So,
right.
You were unhoused, so you probably need to be in the unhoused bucket prior to the fire, maybe in the homeless outreach space, and have some of those nonprofits work with you. Then that's how it narrowed down to the American Red Cross location in DeWardy. And I think that's when they were able to say, okay, these are truly our fire victims and survivors. And I think that then they probably are part of our 1,700 people that are living in hotels.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow. So much to cover here. You mentioned mattresses. I suppose someone donated that. You mentioned cash. I know we can donate on the website. We can probably link through Instagram. What, how do we, what other items can be donated, or are we past the point of doing that?
I won't never say no. I don't, and that's my team always says, you don't never say no to another truck, and now we're all over the place. But you don't want to say no to those products, because a wise lady told me from 9/11, she said, a year from now, all of these things that are free in front of you will be nowhere along. They won't even talk about a mattress for you. So take all you can and support your community now while they're here. And then on the back end, start applying for grants and all that so that you can do continual help. Like we appreciate KBLA helping us with a grant so that we can continually help. But we're going to need more help, months from now, because if we're at 3 months and now the cameras are gone and the distribution hubs are down to 5 or 6 and the resources are starting to slow down, what are we going to be in 3 more months?
Yeah.
And are those numbers going to go up from the hotels not being available anymore to be paid? So then where do those numbers go? And so right now it's just we need more money to support everybody in different aspects of where they are. There's families moving back into their homes. Okay, so they probably, once they get back in and get kind of acclimated, then we can kind of take them off the list of immediate need, but they're going to need support, mental health support, wraparound services to just get back on their feet and learn what this life looks like going forward, because they're probably living across the street or next to a burned house that they probably don't even want to live there at all.
Wow.
They have no other choice. Right.
What about, we're almost out of time here, but I know you're doing a prom dress and suit event.
Oh, exciting. Yes. We partnered with Jazzy Jam Glam, and we are giving away prom dresses and tuxedos, the whole shebang, top to bottom, ties, shoes, socks, tiaras, necklaces. It's beautiful. Anybody that's in the area, we're down at Paseo, 300 East Colorado. We're giving them out on the weekends by appointment only, but just stop by and say hello. We appreciate all the support. Neighborhood Survant is in charge of day of prom and hair and makeup. So that is going to be exciting for us. We're starting on our first prom is April 25th.
Wow. So the Pasadena, Altadena kids that have been impacted by the fire, they're going to at least have their prom right.
Mm-hmm.
The COVID kids didn't get their prom, but at least these
kids. These are our same kids from COVID. So they had COVID, and now they're back at this situation with prom. That's why we didn't say just fire victims or their house was just burned down. We just across the board. Any kid in Pasadena Unified School District, public school, private school, come get a free prom dress. Come get a tuxedo. We had tailors there to get them all squared away, teaching the boys how to tie their tie for the day of the whole shebang. And then at day of, week of, we'll get all the boys' haircuts during the week and then let the girls come and get all their makeup and hair and all that, and we'll watch them off to prom. And we're so excited to watch some of these families that have just, we do have one that's special. We just got her in a hotel. They've been living in a car. We just found them last week.
Wow.
And we were able to get them in a hotel, get her her prom dress. The dream, she just broke down in tears when she saw it, and she's like, I want that one out the window.
Oh.
And so we can't wait to get her hair done, watch her off to prom, and hope, this makes a little, a little oomph of hope for what she's been going through.
I think it does. God bless you for doing it. I say all the colleges should be holding proms right now for all the high school kids, the COVID kids who had that childhood moment snatched from them. Michelle White, thanks for the great work you guys are doing. And folks, let's step up and support.
Guys for keep talking about us and keep supporting us. And of course, bringing James Farr into letting us, spend time with him every week is always good. He keeps us on track, and we keep him on track. So we thank you guys so much with all your support. And we're here for you guys. We're here for the community. If you guys need us, just call us. We're here. We'll figure it out. We're better together.
Absolutely. And we're not going anywhere. KBLA is going to have your back for the long term. Neighborhoodsurvants.com is where you can find them. News, traffic, and sports. And then it's time to call me on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. The Trump administration canceled millions in international grants administered by a Department of Labor division aimed at combating child and slave labor, leading to program closures and concerns about a resurgence of child labor globally. Senator Cory Booker is standing in solidarity with Americans opposing the Trump administration, criticizing Trump's actions and economic uncertainty during his first 100 days. Booker highlighted these issues, speaking on his recent Marathon Senate speech on ABC's This Week. The South Carolina Supreme Court rejected an appeal to halt Michael Mahdi's firing squad execution scheduled for Friday. Mahdi killed an off-duty police officer in 2004. And Cassie Ventura Fine will testify against Diddy under her